You mentioned about the drink, for example. Is there like a culture? I think obviously, were you working Canary Wharf at the time?
Not in Canary Wharf. I was working, so I've worked in Liverpool Street and then Blackfriars. So it's all the same. It's all the same.
All the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's like almost like a part of the day-to-day there, part of the culture, if you will, like the sort of the drinking after work. And is it like the movies they show, like all the craziness behind the closed doors?
Bro, it really is. Yeah. It really is. It's I'm not someone to do drugs, but it's the drugs during working hours as well, in the toilet, like the broker lifestyle, the analyst lifestyle, trade lifestyle, people doing drugs in the toilet, then going for beers during lunch, and then after. It's an awful lifestyle, and constantly feeling like, especially in the city, in the corporate side of things, that you got to have these spanking £500 suits, or they judge you. Your shoes have got to look the part. Everything. It was. There's so much pressure, and it's no wonder. If you look in the in the financial world, right, in big institutions, there's a high suicide rate.
Yep.
High suicide rate. You go and look at institutions. They aren't always publicized.
Of course.
But you look at your Deutsche Banks, your JP Morgans. There's so many young men that commit suicide because of the pressure of that lifestyle. The level that you have to maintain, the appearance, everything, the hours you have to put in. Like when I was an analyst, by the way, I was working 6 till 6, and still that was not enough for them. If for example, I'm leaving at 6 p.m., right? I've been in just before 6 a.m. to get everything prepared for Asia and London Open. I'm walking out, 6 p.m., got my jacket on, bag. Half day, is it? That's the sort of thing that you had to deal with.
Yeah.
And no wonder people, have been down and committing suicide in the industry. It probably still happens today.
Oh, 100%. Probably worse, if anything. And was there any sort of focus on mindset, any sort of like mindset coaches or anyone on hand is within the institutions, or was it purely kind of just like, you get here, you do your shit and you get out?
There's no care whatsoever on mental health and well-being. None of that at all, bro. Like you are just a number and left to it. And, you feel some type of way if you don't hit a certain criteria. It's awful in that sense. What I would say is it's great in the sense, in the exposure that you gain, the knowledge,
of course,
because I find that's invaluable. What I learned, I know during my time as an analyst was not easy at all, but it served me so well still to this day. It's built solid foundation blocks for me.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's great. So if you can get in and get out, fantastic. But it's hard to get out, when you're in there as well.
So I feel like once you start going down that route, if you start to really get involved, so alcohol's one thing, it can be very casual and it can work for a lot of people and they can have that balance. But let's say once you start going into the drug side of things, that's where maybe it's a hook, and it could be an anchor that holds you there and holds you in place. And especially like if you think about social circles as well, because bear in mind, like you said, most people are going to be spending all their time there and most of their time there, and therefore your social circle will be the people from there too. So then now suddenly you don't want to leave that social group either.
Yeah, exactly.
And also you don't want to be an outsider of that social group, no doubt too. So it becomes a lot of, as you said about the pressure, I can imagine it's from not just one angle, it's like multiple angles.
Multiple. Yeah, exactly.
What was it like? Because you said you started off, you worked your way to that point. So you started off, obviously, as you said, like getting lunches, getting the tea and coffee. What was that like in terms of like your mindset? Was it, because a lot of people I meet nowadays, and it's probably always been the case, but especially nowadays, I think, because of like the sort of bougie lifestyles that people see, they don't even have themselves, but they see it. And they say, I can't do that. I'm way better than that, to do something like that. What was your mindset like, being so young as well, but being willing to go and do that?
What for the lunches and stuff?
Yeah, to do the lunches and everything. Because there's people who'd be like, oh, I'm too good to do that sort of job,
Yeah.
So what was your mindset like?
Oh, the thing is, I was just young and hungry. In my head, I just wanted to prove my dad wrong.
Okay.
So I was tenacious. I didn't think anything about because where I come from, in terms of my area, so where I grew up was a place called Barking and Dagenham, a London borough.
Okay.
It's one of the lowest achieving boroughs, I think, in London, right? It's not great. So I have come from a place where people are underachieving. My friend groups were just no disrespect at all, but they were just going to go and be laborers, just very, very average job.
Yeah.
So the expectation was low. So whatever these guys were doing, what I'm doing is a step above that. Okay. In fact, I'm in a trading company. Yes, I'm a T-boy. I don't care. I'm on a trade floor every day. I get to see what these guys are doing, and I get to absorb what they're doing. So it is definitely a step from where I've come from.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't care about that. Yeah,
that's it.
You
just, as you said, young and hungry, and then therefore willing to do what it takes.
Exactly. That's it.
100%.
And one thing I missed out as well. Some of these traders, right? These are actual real traders. These are actual prop traders that are on the floor. Obviously, some of them were trading their own book. Some were funded. The company at the time was called Schneider Trading. They were taken over by a company called Marek Spectron now. But anyway, some of these guys, these young guys as well, like, what I was saying about the cocaine, the desks. Some of these guys were going out to gamble, during their lunch times. I see them walking into the Coral and stuff. It's mad. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I think it's like, do you feel like they just get this fix? They get this like buzz from it almost. Wolf of Wall Street, where he's like kind of breaking down what his day looks like. And like, I start with this, and then I have this orange juice, and then I have this at lunchtime, and then this at this. It keeps me going, and then I have this to kind of undo this, what I did this morning. And do you feel that is that kind of the reality of that fast pace? Trading on the floor lifestyle. That is
the lifestyle, bro. It's so fast paced, and some people are just unable to deal with it as well. It's trading's not for everyone, as we know. It's if you've got an addictive personality and you can't control that addiction, trading is not for you. At all.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. Because essentially, it's just playing into the same factors that gambling does, right? And as you said, without that control, without that discipline, it's just a very, very dangerous road.
Trading is worse than worse than a casino, because obviously it's same as casino. There's just no end. And the thing is with trading as well, it's incredibly addictive. It can be incredibly addictive if you have no strategy.
It's so accessible.
It's so accessible. And that's why why do you think these brokers give this leverage? Like, people get excited. When I first started going on the educational front and pushing out content, and I recommend like this broker, and people were like, oh, have they got 500 to 1 leverage? They got 1,000 to 1 leverage. That's what a lot of people are concerned about.
Yeah.
And like, man, you're a fool. These brokers give you the leverage for one reason only, because they want you to lose your money.
Yeah.
They want you to go bust, and so you redeposit and you keep doing it. The leverage is there for that reason. It's a highly, highly profitable business.
That's it. Yeah. The way I like to describe it is like they give you the tools to destroy yourself.
Yeah.
They give you the same tools that you can use to excel and to grow. But those same tools, if not used correctly, will destroy you and wipe you out.
Exactly. And on a lot of broker websites, right? If you go on a broker's website, most of the regulated guys anyway, and you scroll down, you read there's a risk warning there. The risk warning previously started with like around 50 to 60% of our retail traders lose money.
Yeah.
Now I've seen risk warnings up to 90%. So, that just shows just how hard it is, and how hard it is as a trader, and how profitable it is for these guys. Because most of them, if not all of them, are booking you. So.
That's what it is. So like, did you get like a really great insight in terms of like the behind the scenes of brokerages and institutions, obviously through that experience? Because a lot of people try and talk about, you've probably seen a lot of it online, like, oh, this is an institutional strategy, and this is how the banks trade, and so on and so forth. Right?
Yeah, I see all
so
that.
Then when you are, you've actually worked in these environments, and you hear that, what are the thoughts that go through your mind?
What, sorry?
Just like these people who are promoting things as if it's like an institutional strategy or an institutional mindset, etc. But then you've been there.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I was having this conversation with Dan on the way here, actually, just speaking. And bro, the thing is with trading, right? I know everyone's coming up with all these like smart money concepts and all of this stuff. Trading is subjective. It's so subjective. I could, for example, if I draw a trend line, you may draw the trend line differently to me. You just, at the end of the day, it's just finding something that works for you. These institutions will trade the way they trade because they've got a serious amount of capital at hand. You will go insolvent. The institution will not. So I just think just find something that works for you and stick to it. You got enough confluences, enough reasons to take a trade, fine. But everything is freaking subjective. There's nothing perfect out there. I don't want to hear it about, I've got this amazing strategy. Yeah, fine, it works for you. But everything is subjective.
Yeah.
Everything.
There's no like one size fits all.
No, not at all.